Michigan Magazine is kept on the road by our many Michigan friends. Thunder Bay Resort, a destination for all seasons with special events and packages. Thunder Bay Resort in Hillman. Cops and Donuts Bakery, downtown Clare, a winning combination. Cops and Donuts. Flu season, be prepared. Get your immunizations now at Rose City Drug, your one-stop pharmacy, home health care, and medical supply outlet, offering a variety of on-site immunizations. Walk-ins are of course welcome. Call now for more information. All aboard, ride on the Michigan Osamo Valley Railroad, a quarter-scale passenger train through the beautiful scenic landscape of northern Michigan, just south of Fairview. Now open weekends and holidays. Visit them online or call them now. The Michigan-made rebounding mailbox pole. Never again worry about the winter snowplow taking out your mailbox with this ingenious rebounding pole. Your mailbox takes a hit and keeps coming back year after year. Call now or visit their website, toughmailboxes.com. Canyons Lakeside Resort and Marina, located on the shores of beautiful Sage Lake. Get away to their newly remodeled, beautiful bed and breakfast or their historic 13-room hotel. Special events and activities for all ages. Call now or go online for more information on this Michigan treasure. This week, how deep do the notorious Purple Gang's roots go down in northern Michigan? We'll talk about that with an expert on the subject, organized crime historian and author Paul Kavief. Then we head off-grid to LOGHAVEN B&B in Rose City. That's right, they are totally energy self-sufficient. It's windmills and solar panels. Then the Michigan Economic Development Corporation is spotlighting Ogemaw County this week in a seminar explaining the exciting area business outlook. Stay tuned, it's coming up next on Michigan Magazine.
I've actually got 2 books on the subject. Okay. I've written 4 books altogether. My area is organized crime history. Okay. The first book was called The Purple Gang, Organized Crime in Detroit, 1910 to 1945. Mm-hmm. And the other book that has to do with the Purple Gang is a pictorial called Detroit's Infamous Purple Gang by Arcadia Books, and that came out in 2008. I've got 2 other books, one called The Violent Years, Prohibition and the Detroit Mobs, which focuses, there's a chapter on the Purple Gang, but it actually focuses on all the other organized crime groups that were operating in the city during the 20s.
Oh my goodness, and this was quite a big operation, was organized crime in the city of Detroit?
Detroit was the 4th largest city in the United States in the 20s. And probably the most wide open city. I think it was worse than New York or Chicago. Didn't get the same press, but I think it was worse.
How in the world did you get interested in this subject?
It's an area, as a historian, I've always been interested in organized crime history. I've always been interested in outlaws, organized crime figures. I don't know what that says about my interests, but or about me, but I've been an organized crime historian for quite some time.
One that intrigues us is, of course, the Purple Gang. Now, how many tentacles did you find the Purple Gang going in the state of Michigan? I know there's places that I've never heard of before that had some sort of connection with this organization.
I think that the Purple Gang basically operated all over Michigan. Of course, probably one of the best known places is the Graceland Ballroom, mostly because it was built by a former Purple gangster, a guy named One Arm Mike Gelfin. They called him One Arm because he was missing a limb. And Gelfin came up here and built the Graceland Ballroom on land that was either willed to him or given to him by his sister in the early 30s. Okay. And this was actually constructed between 1933 and about 1934, 35. And when it was finished, it was actually the largest, what they call rustic pavilion-style ballroom. It was rumored that at that time there were tunnels and there was a runway where a small plane could land, and it was supposed to be kind of a watering hole for Midwestern gangsters that were on the lam, hiding from the law or hiding from other gangsters.
Mm-hmm. Now, the evolution of the Purple Gang, that amazed me when you told everyone that it started from a group of kids, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, basically a group of teenage kids, the children of recently immigrated, predominantly Russian Jewish people. Parents were legitimate, hard-working people, and the kids were kind of became delinquents, operated on the streets in the Lower East Side of Detroit, turning over push carts and robbing from peddlers and rolling drunks. Basically the same kind of apprenticeship most organized crime figures serve when they're kids. They had no conflict with Al Capone. Actually, in 1927, Capone had come to Detroit and wanted to establish a liquor franchise here. And supposedly, being that underworld characters don't keep memoirs, the story goes that he had a meeting at the Pickford Shelby Hotel, which is close to the Detroit River, between the Bernstein brothers, the leadership faction of the Purple Gang, and Capone, and also the River Gang. These guys did most of the rum running on the Detroit River. This was an organized crime group that were the predecessors of the modern mafia in Detroit today. And essentially, Abe Bernstein, the leader of the Purple Gang, supposedly pointed out the window and told Capone that river belongs to us. Any business you do in Detroit will either be through us or you're not going to operate here. And Capone, being the astute businessman that he was, for a couple of years was contracting for the Purple Gang to bring him what they call Old Log Cabin. Really, it was just cut Canadian whiskey. Old Log Cabin was just a label the Purple Gang put on bottles.
Okay. So you cover this quite extensively in your books?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did you find out, as your research, was there anything that surprised you about the gang, or that kind of brought to light something that you were just kind of struck by, or is it something that you knew the pattern?
No, I think that truth is always stranger than fiction. And being Jewish and growing up in Detroit's Jewish community, I heard stories about the Purple Gang most of my childhood. I think it was interesting to find out that most of it wasn't true, but the reality of it was much more interesting. Yes.
Okay. Now, where can anybody get your books?
Well, my books can be obtained on Amazon, either Detroit's Infamous Purple Gang, which is an Arcadia book, or they've just reprinted The Purple Gang Organized Crime in Detroit, 1910 to 1945. That is a barricade book, and that should be available now on Amazon. They've just reprinted that. They're going to be reprinting The Violent Years for anybody that's interested in the criminal scene in Detroit in the 20s. That's very interesting for anybody who wants to study the rudiments of the Detroit Mafia today. It goes into some detail on the River Gang, the Purple Gang. Detroit was a hotbed for all kinds of organized crime groups, bank robbers, safe crackers, you name it. Every kind of criminal, any description of criminal that you can come up with was operating in Detroit in the 20s.
Amazing part of history. Well, we appreciate you stopping by. And you are on kind of a little tour throughout the state every once in a while, and people can get a hold of you for speaking engagements too. How would they do that?
Well, they could contact me through my internet. It's AA7697 at Wayne, WAYNE.edu.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you very much, Paul.
Thank you, Barry.
Michigan Magazine is being brought to you in part by Cops and Donuts Bakery, downtown Clare. What began as a crazy idea among 9 police officers to purchase the historic Clare City Bakery quickly became an international phenomenon, carrying on a Michigan tradition with delicious donuts, pies, pastries, breads, original coffee, and more. Plus a full menu at the new adjacent Traffic Stop Diner. Downtown Clare, a winning combination. Cops and Donuts. The Michigan-made rebounding mailbox pole. Never again worry about the winter snowplow taking out your mailbox with this ingenious rebounding pole. Your mailbox takes a hit and keeps coming back year after year. Call now or visit their website, toughmailboxes.com. Remembering good times and great food, Frank and Lisa invite you to Tin Lizzie's in Mile for a blast back to the 50s and 60s when food was made from scratch, including home-ground Angus burgers. A full menu of great food and good memories await you at the new Tin Lizzie's of Mile. Experience the beauty, artistry, and taste of Northern Michigan. Come to Amish Country Natural Products on Mount Tom Road, north of Mile, just off M33. From arts and crafts to fresh foods and vegetables, all natural, all local, all good. Stop by and get acquainted with Amish Country Natural Products, 1454 North Mount Tom Road, Mile. For some people, living off the land is a dream, mostly unattainable, but still a dream. For others, living off-grid is a more practical alternative, not as drastic, but much more attainable than you might think. On this edition of Michigan Magazine, we discovered a husband and wife team in northern Michigan, Paul and Gail Goddard, who've been doing just that and turned that experience into a beautiful bed, breakfast, and barn to share with everyone. What does it mean to be off-grid?
That means that the commercial power lines are 2 miles away, and we are not connected in any way to commercial power.
So where do you get your power?
And we make our own. We have a wind turbine and a battery bank downstairs, and we make our own electricity.
Now, that's something that a lot of people have just dreamed about and thought maybe it is totally impossible. This is just something that can't be done. But you have done it, and you've created a B&B, haven't you?
Yes, we sure have. It's been, we've been here for 12 years, so this isn't anything new for us. Been doing it for a long time and very successfully.
Oh my goodness, now, I would think it'd be kind of hard. Now, what stimulated the actual decision to do something like this and discover that it may be possible? I mean, this takes a rare breed, I think, to actually do something.
We got a quotation from the local power company. There was a substantial amount of money to bring power to the property, and simply felt that we could spend that money in looking at alternative energy. And we did, and it has turned out just fine. It works like a champ.
We just have one hard, fast rule here, and that is if you turn it on, you have to turn it off. So we're very aware of our electrical usage. We use energy-efficient appliances, compact fluorescent light bulbs. We simply watch what we're doing, which is what anyone could do. You don't have to live off-grid to be energy conscious, and it's just a part of life. It's not anything that we even think about anymore. It's just a normal way of behaving.
If you decided to go back on grid, which you probably never will, it would take something. I mean, the power lines aren't that near to you, are they?
Well, they're about 1.75 miles from us. So the power company would have to come in, and because we live in a state and national forest, all power lines all utilities have to be underground. So the power company would have to come in and install the connection to the closest, which is 1.75 miles, and then we would have to bring a line in from the road into the house. Certainly, if that were to happen and it wasn't going to be an expense to us, we might consider using the power grid as a backup, but we doubt we'd ever go back to using that alone.
What power, wind power, solar power, what do you use and how do you use it?
We have out in front of the house on a 100-foot tower a 3,000-watt wind turbine, and that means that at its peak production, which is 28 miles an hour wind, it produces 3,000 watts. It is a battery charger. The heart of the system is a battery bank, and what that is a battery charger. So that 3,000 watt turbine is charging the batteries, and then out of the batteries we take electricity to run the house. We invert the DC electricity from the batteries into conventional AC electricity to power the house. The house is all standard, code compliant AC with switches and outlets and everything like that. We get about 85% of our need out of the wind turbine itself. 15% balance comes from our backup generator.
Well, you must have been a whiz at this when you first got into it.
Not nearly as smart as I look, Barry. Honest to goodness. No, I'm just an old salesman, and I knew nothing about this. And that's a point I like to emphasize with people, that this is not beyond the reach of the average guy. It's not that you can do it all yourself, but it's simple to install, simple to understand, and the average person can get this done.
You're not hoarding all this information to yourself. I'm sure that you would, let people know how you did it. I understand that you're very open with that, aren't you?
You bet. We have a seminar here first Friday of every month, assuming that there are attendees, which there are not necessarily every time. It's called the Basic Introduction to Alternative Energy, and I do charge. There is a fee, $135. And we invite people in and take them, just as the name implies, basic introduction to alternative energy. We take them from start to finish on what all is involved, how to do it, vendors, contractors, local code applications, and things of that sort. By the time they leave here, I promise them that they will be the smartest kids on their block when they get home. And sometimes they call and say they are.
So what you're doing is providing a seminar or information here on site to actually see that it in operation, but it's doing something and letting people know of something that you've garnered constructing the house. So you've got a wealth of information that you're going to be letting people in on and how they can do it.
Yes.
But what I like too is that, my goodness, you can take the seminar in and you can enjoy a beautiful B&B. Tell us a little bit about what you've got here, Gail. I mean, this is wonderful. It's in a very nice area of the state.
It's a beautiful area. We are in the Huron National Forest, so we are remote. Our closest neighbor is 1.5 miles away. It's quiet. It's peaceful. The bed and breakfast has been operational since about 2004. We didn't really intend we didn't start off when we built this to become a B&B, but we have a lot of extra room, and we're small. We only have 3 guest rooms, lots of porches, green porch. People come to hike, they come to relax, they come to cross-country ski. We encourage people who own their own horses to bring their horses, because we have facilities. We have a barn and pastures and stalls and that sort of thing, and then ride through the forest. So we do have a lot of people who come with their horses. It's a wonderful way to meet people. It's not a full-time business, but we have thoroughly enjoyed it, and we've met some great people, and it's a fun thing to do. We like to stay at B&Bs when we travel, and when we first built and friends and relatives would come to visit, we'd sit out on the deck and everybody would say, "Oh, it's so beautiful here, and this would be a wonderful place. You should have a B&B." And as frequent B&B guests, we said, how hard is this? So we learned a little bit about it. We joined the Michigan Lake to Lake Bed and Breakfast Association, and got some tips from them, and just kind of moved into it gradually, and had some brochures printed, which are available in the Michigan travel centers, and have a website, and have done a little bit of advertising, but I think a lot of it is word of mouth, a lot of it is internet. People go online and they're looking for a B&B, and there we are. So we do have a lot of repeat business, but we just did this because it's a great way to meet people, and it seemed to be kind of fun.
Yeah, it would be fun. Now, what type of people would you say would enjoy your bed and breakfast?
Well, we get people who, we don't typically have hunters or snowmobilers. We have people who enjoy the B&B experience like we do, who come up north for canoeing, because we're not far from Mayo and from the AuSable River, for cross-country skiing, for hiking, people who bring their horses. Also, people who are coming locally to attend weddings or graduation parties, or family get-togethers. So those are the people, and sometimes just folks who want to come up north and relax for the weekend.
Sit on the porch?
Sit on the porch, put your feet up, have a glass of wine, and enjoy the scenery and the quiet and the birds, and yeah.
Ah, that's what it's all about, isn't it? To truly and actually unplug. Thanks, Gail. Thanks, Paul, for sharing your log haven with Michigan Magazine.
On October 17th, it's a Thursday morning, we'll be hosting the Economic Outlook. The Ogemaw County EDC is partnering with Michigan Works and Consumers Energy and a few other local businesses to host a series of community updates on various industries. And then we'll have an economist, Dr. George Arachuk from the Upjohn Institute, to speak about what's going on in our region. It's free and it's open to the public. They just need to call 989-345-1090, or they can email me at mchasey@mishworks4u.org, or they can find me on Facebook, the Ogemaw EDC. We're here to help businesses grow, attract new businesses, really help them with marketing, websites, anything like that. Basically, I am their Rolodex, and if I don't have the answer to the question, then I will find it for them.
There's a bunch of support groups out there, and you're one of them.
Absolutely.
Wants them to succeed in
Absolutely. Absolutely. We want to see people get jobs, so I do help with human resource services, do job postings, I do resume searches for them. So really take the stress off the business as much as possible and let them do their job.
Tell us about the time and date once again.
It's at the West Branch Country Club on Fairview Road in West Branch, and it starts at 9 o'clock. Doors open at 8, and we'll have coffee, and we'll actually be showcasing one of our newest local businesses called Wicked Cupcakes. And so we'll have samples of their cupcakes and muffins, and then we'll be hearing some great speakers.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Rose Valley Winery on Beechwood Road in Rose City. See what thousands are raving about, creating a delicious variety of award-winning Michigan wines. Stop by and taste for yourself. The taste of Michigan is yours at Rose Valley Winery. Hale Hardware, your do-it-center at Hale, Michigan. Much more than a regular hardware store, providing everything you need for whatever your project is, along with a knowledgeable sales staff to get her done. Serving Northern Michigan since 1946. Hale Hardware, south of M65 at Ainsley in Hale. That's all the time we've got for this edition. We'll check in with you right here next week on RFD or online at MichiganMagazine.com. Y'all have a great week, and we'll see you here next week. We'd like to thank all those that help keep Michigan Magazine on the road. Cops and Donuts Bakery, downtown Clare, a winning combination. Thunder Bay Resort, a destination for all seasons with special events and packages. Clemix Sales and Service on Mapes Road, west of Mile, your complete recreational vehicle sales and service connection. Visit their beautiful showroom of new and pre-owned ATVs, lawnmowers, power equipment, snowmobiles, utility vehicles, and more. Clemix Sales and Service is also the home of the American-made Victory motorcycle line on display at Clemix on Mapes Road, Mile. Hingeman Acres, Canoe Livery and Resort on M33 just north of Mayo, catering to the outdoor enthusiasts. Cabins, canoes, kayaks, rafts, and more. Daytime or overnight trips along the world-famous Asabo River. Discount Foods, downtown Mayo. Find national name-brand foods and merchandise at sharply discounted prices. Shop the smart way and please the family without breaking the budget. Discount Foods, downtown Mayo.